the Nakamichi Dragon, an 11.4.6 home theater Dolby Atmos DTS-X monster. And don't call it a soundbar, depending on who you're around, because let's be clear, Nakamichi is not trying to compete with other soundbars out there. No, it's going after the big boys with this beast of a soundbar. But is it as good as they say it is? Or better question, is it as good as you want it to be? Hey, it's Low Fella Nose back at you with another tech take, and I'm a Dragon owner for the past 4 months. Now, for those familiar with the channel, you might have remembered recently I made a Samsung Q990C video in March and raved about that. And while I still think the Q990C is an incredible setup, I gotta be honest, in the end, I wanted more. Ever had that feeling? Well, leave a like if you know that feeling. Now, I want to state this up front. While I love tech, I am not a home theater expert. I can't give you breakdowns of driver capacities and if a channel of a home theater is hitting their advertised frequency response. I'm not going to yank or chain, but I do know what I like, what sounds good, and what doesn't. And as a voice actor who has to clean and polish up audio daily, I know when a device is naturally good or if there's smoke and mirrors behind the scene. Also, I've been investing in home theater setups for 20 years, so I feel qualified to express a thing or two about a thing or two. And let's be clear, there's been plenty to say about the Nakamichi Dragon. A lot of love, a lot of hate, and probably no shortage of confusion. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to answer all your questions and concerns in this video, nor am I going to fanboy on the Dragon or dump on it. My goal is to deliver my subjective experience based on real-world use with movies, TV shows, and games. Not music, because I really didn't listen to music on this in any serious capacity or regularity. Okay, it's not as good as you want it to be. What does that mean? Well, like anything, we go in with a certain level of expectation and acknowledge a product's shortcomings. It's almost like a honeymoon phase before you even commit. It's like we go through, this will meet all my needs because I want it to. And then we go watching promos, reviews, interviews, and demo after demo to affirm that belief in us to make us feel better about our choices. Some of you right now might be thinking, is he still talking about the Dragon? Yes, I am. First, let me start with this. I love my Nakamichi Dragon. Does it sound awesome? Yes. Did it meet all my expectations? No. Is it as good as I hoped it would be? Well, absolutely not. And again, that's really on me because I bought into the reviews, the videos, the tests, to the point that I convinced myself that the Dragon would solve my current problems at least, and at best, offer more. So, what were my problems? Well, I thought my problems were ultimately power and channel separation related, which is true, but let me explain. Again, the Q990C was my first jump into a soundbar home theater setup with its 11.1.4 configuration. It gave me tremendous convenience with its wireless surrounds, wireless sub, and the bar did a lot of heavy lifting up front. But in the end, it was very much limited by its form factor of it being a soundbar system. It did what it was supposed to do, but instead of having this fully surrounding experience, which, don't get it confused, sounded really good to my ears, this sought-after bubble of sound, which is the goal of home theater systems at this level, I would describe or say it delivered more of a trapezoid of sound. The limitations and dead spots that are inherent to a design like this were noticeable for an audiophile like me and my wily expectations. And I do emphasize me. My wife and kids, they didn't get it. It was more like, it's loud enough for them, but what do they know? So that's where it all started. It sounded good, but I was chasing, keyword chasing, and that's a dangerous word, that full immersion. Granted, I realized maybe my living room wasn't ideal. A huge empty spot on the right of my listening position, high ceilings that weren't ideal for reflective height channels, and putting the rears further back could have negated the design of the setup, effectively making it a 5.1 system in placement. So, leave a like if you've been here. You're enjoying your new toy. You're trying to see if other people are having the same experience as you. Maybe there are some hacks to improve the experience. You start looking at other gear that might be added to it, or that might be better, or what is currently better out there right now. You know, just kind of entertaining the idea. And then I come across the Dragon. Oh, wow. 3,000 watts of total power compared to the 990C 60 plus watts of power? Whew. So you can see how easy it was for me to start thinking, I do need more power. More power to compensate for the dimensions of the room, and since the Dragon is physically bigger in every aspect, the bar, the surrounds, and subs, I thought to myself, the Dragon should solve my first world problem. I think you can start seeing how I was setting myself up. I started giving the Dragon mythical powers that I wasn't even sure it was capable of doing. Now, to be clear, I got my Dragon off eBay as a refurb directly from Nakamichi, and it came with 2 official stands for the surrounds. It showed pictures of the product, stating that there were minor scuffs on it, but it was given a grade A- for its condition, and for what it was and what I was getting, I thought the price was better compared to what normally is. The only thing that I was not getting was the cool binder that holds your instructions that you get for being a Dragon owner. They told me to download a PDF. Oh, and that's right. And this was a refurb of a 1 out of 100 limited set. For me, this was even cooler, but more on that later. All right, let's talk about the build of the Dragon briefly because I'm sure you've already seen other build videos. The Dragon is massive. The box is heavy and it will take a lot of muscle to move and take out. The soundbar is ridiculously large. Like it will dwarf anything trying to compete with it. For me, this gave me vibes of Tim the Toolman, like, rah, 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 you know? But you might get the moans from the missus that are not the good ones after she takes a look at it. Plus, I had to get a TV stand for my TV because it was covering so much of the bottom of my TV. I mean, it is that huge. The surrounds, again, massive compared to the Q990Cs. And the subs, the housing was ridiculously huge as well. But for 8-inch drivers, we'll talk more about the subs and the new subs coming out soon. Okay, sound. Now, I say this with all the house-shaking pride that this sound bar can deliver. The sound on the Dragon, in my opinion, is theater-like. It punches you in the face. I mean, this thing gets loud. Personally, I don't go over 23 on the volume setting of the Dragon. I mean, yeah, like that's how powerful it is. The tweeters and drivers on the main bar deliver such a clear, rich sound on the front. I never have to raise the volume up or down because I needed to hear something. It really provides rich and clear effects and dialogue.
Robin, hey! You're going the wrong way! You're gonna miss your moment!
What the hell? They're not supposed to know we're even coming.
You walk into a slaughterhouse, man! It's a slaughterhouse!
I mean, this for me was a huge plus because with the Q990C, I had to jump between standard or adaptive depending on the movie to bring out the dialogue. The Dragon, it just gets it right every single time from my experiences. And not only dialogue, but audio coming from the bar just has this high fidelity sheen to it that separates itself from other sound systems, head and shoulders easily. I mean, yeah, it may not be for everyone, but there is no question that the Dragon delivers intelligible audio without the need for special EQ and other smoke and mirrors. The surrounds have power and get loud as well, but because of my setup, I had to put these farther than what I would believe is the recommended placement and distance. But I was able to test them on the stands first before having to finally place them on the wall. Surround effects behind you are easily audible and move behind you impressively. When testing out gravity, hearing objects and voices circle around me sounded nice. But because I wanted to really experience it, I increased the level of the tops, rear, and sides on the surround speakers so I could really experience the movement and placement of objects. Now, I wouldn't do this with all movies, but for movies where I wanted to experience just a bit more of the surrounds, I would create a preset on favorite number 2 for an occasion like that. Again, it's getting to know your system. Now, when you put on reference demos, Atmos demos, DTX demos, the Dragon roars. I mean, your house will shake. Just put on the airplane flyover demo that's installed on the Dragon, and you'll see what I mean, or you'll hear what I mean. But I don't know if I could recommend this for apartments unless you're inviting the entire complex over. This will sound and feel like a theater during those demo moments. Objects swishing and swooshing all around you in a fantastical display of audio flashery. I mean, when the Dragon is impressive, it's impressive. But this is where we start looking under the Komodo of the Dragon. The Dragon is like this guy at the gym who only works on the upper body and rarely does leg day. The demos show the best of what the Dragon can do, but also conveniently avoids where I feel it falls short. And I'm not the first one to mention this, and probably not the last, but the subs, I don't know how to quantify this, but I felt like I got a better experience with the one sub from the Q990C. I'm not saying the sub on the Q990C is better, hands down. But you know the saying, you just had one job? I felt the Q990C gave me the floor rattling and window shaking feels that made me go, oh yeah! And well, I never really got that from the Dragon, especially in a consistent basis throughout my viewing experience, and not in any kind of predictable manner either. I mean, what does that mean? Well, I mean, it rumbled. It went low, it blended frequencies nicely, where you didn't notice them doing their job, and that's supposed to be a good thing. In fact, it is. The overall soundscape blends nicely. But here's the thing. You definitely notice when the subs wasn't able to do their job. And this was the most frustrating thing about the subs of the Dragon for me. They work, but it's like they weren't capable of certain work. Maybe they just weren't versatile enough. I don't know. For example, shortly after setting everything up, I'm going through my movies on 4K Blu-ray, which impressed me with the Q990C. Put in Mad Max Fury Road and went to the sandstorm scene, and what was once this awesome experience became this mess of sound with the subs. I mean, doing what I think is referred to as bottoming out, it would make this boom, boom, boom sound repeatedly that didn't sound good at all. And the subs weren't even maxed out, being set at 5 or 6, which was at the halfway mark. And after a while, I started noticing on the subs or bass, at a certain bass pattern or frequency, they would just sound messy and distracting. And this is weird because I have this calibration disc and it goes through certain frequencies for the subs, and I can't seem to replace the bottoming out of the subs from the tests. Whether it's bottoming out or something else, bottom line, there's a shortcoming to these subs on certain bass responses. And it's disappointing. I'm watching content and I'm reading with the boom, 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 boom. Ugh, there it is. Now you might be thinking, well, Lo, it's a reverb, so maybe there's something up with the subs. Yeah, I thought the same thing too. Called Nakamichi support and they gave me tips, guided me with some suggested settings. We spoke about sub placement, and to their credit, they wanted me to have the best experience possible, but it was clear they knew this was a thing. Of course, during this time, I'm browsing forums and looking for what other Dragon owners are saying, and it seems like this performance seems to be the norm, which is disappointing, especially for what was paid for and for what I was hoping and expecting to get. Okay, I don't want to harp on too long because for sure the subs have issues, and you can tune and tweak it to something that works for you. But in the end, the current config seems like a skill tree that if you put something here, you're ultimately taken away from something else. Moving on. This has to be my second biggest gripe about the Dragon. I was really hoping the soundstage would have been wider, but it's not. It's just fancier, cleaner, better sounding trapezoid bubble of a sound. I thought for sure because of the extra power, pressure, and brunt, and it being physically bigger, wider, and longer, that it would have solved my living space challenges for my home theater. It didn't. Even though the menus do offer settings to compensate for walls that may be too far away, in the end, it just sounds like better audio not getting to me the way I'd hope. Now, you could work around this with different presets or raise the level of your channels after calibration to compensate, but it really doesn't solve the problem, especially in the front. It just makes things louder, and at a certain point, it can become distracting. I guess nothing beats having individual speakers delivering sound to you in the direction it should be coming from. Again, I don't want to seem like I'm taking a dump on the Dragon. No, it's fair to assume that all products have strengths and weaknesses, and the Dragon is no different. And when you come across a movie that is mixed well, the Dragon destroys. And when you don't, it can be frustrating because you can polish a turd, but it's still a turd. I'm talking about the mix of a movie and not the Dragon. The Dragon's not going to magically make everything sound good. And although I will stand by what I said earlier as far as the dialogue, in my experience, it always sounds up front and clear. Old 5.1 mixes can sometimes be hit or miss, but is that the fault of the Dragon? I don't know. But before I talk about the new 12-inch subwoofers that are coming out for $1,500 each, I briefly want to talk about some other things that let me down with the Dragon. First, no Wi-Fi support. So 0 streaming to this device, just Bluetooth for music and app control. I mean, yeah, you could use a third-party device like a TV stick or Apple TV to compensate, but it is a miss. Do hardcore home theater gurus want this in their receivers? I don't know, but for those who are not serious audiophiles, I mean, make it accessible for everyone. That's just my thought. The on-screen display looks outdated, ugly, and clunky to navigate. But it looks like they might update it with the new arrival of the new subs. No automatic room collaboration or adaptive listening. I get it, maybe this is geared towards hardcore audiophiles who know their stuff, so get out your measuring tape and prepare to fiddle with levels and presets. But again, at this price point, you expect things to be at least on par with lower priced competition. The inputs of the Dragon are slow to pick up. I mean, I have my Xbox on HDMI 3 and the Switch on HDMI 4, and because of the delay, I find myself second guessing myself. Wait a minute, was Xbox 3 or 4? You know? I mean, well, at least you can label your inputs. And it seems the rears, well, they should be closer to you for the best experience, but I didn't find that to be objectively true when I had them on the stands and calibrated. While the rears being closer to you do offer a more consistent ambient experience because of it physically being closer to your head. The new 12-inch subs that are coming out. Am I interested? Yes. Is the price insane? Absolutely. Will it solve my problems? Maybe, but probably not. But as a customer, I can't help but feel hurt that we were promised something revolutionary just to be beta testers. Am I grateful that they at least heard their base and decided to respond? Absolutely. Way better than them disappearing or offering a completely brand new solution. But man, the cost of this current solution is a lot, especially if the Dragon was a major investment for you. Either you saved up or financed it in the hopes that it would be this one-stop shop for years to come. And then they come along and say, but wait, there's more. Starting at $1,500, you can get the true experience now. What? Now, whether the sub is the real deal or not, it doesn't make me feel good as a customer. I mean, I'll wait for reviews to see if it's worth it, but it's really hard to justify even 4 of them. Again, for me, it just doesn't feel right. But if I had to choose, I would have loved to be given the option to create more separation in my sound field. I honestly wouldn't mind getting a second pair of surround speakers and putting those as front wides or even as middle sides for my needs. I mean, that would appeal to me even more, even if it goes against the whole point of the side firing drivers from the front and the back. Because I'll tell you what, virtual will never be as good as physical, in my opinion. I want separation and immersion. Yeah, improved subs may improve the overall experience, giving me some nice balanced bass that works in harmony with the rest of the system. But again, when watching, I want to feel objects moving around me and point to where they're coming from. That's what I really want. Maybe a traditional setup is what I should look at. But for now, I'm too invested in the Dragon. So I'm going to make the best of what I have. And what I have is pretty good, just not as good as I wanted it to be. Now, if you're a fan of home theater or seriously considering a Nakamichi Dragon, I hope this video in some way helps you in whichever direction works best for you. Could the Dragon be legendary? It certainly has the potential. Could it be mythical? No. All right, hope this video helped you out. Enjoy. As always, I'll leave links in the description down below for your own Nakamichi Dragon. Hey guys, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. Hit that like button if you like what's going on here, and also ding that notification so you can be notified for future videos as well. All right, I'll see you next one. Take care. Bye.